Hi, Sagafi, Liberty Home Mortgage, and today's topic is, how are collections handled? I get a lot of questions from people, or I'll run into transactions where I have a buyer who says, gosh, the lender's required me to pay off the collection. The question is how are collections handled when you're buying a home? 9 times out of 10, collections are not required to be paid off. So if you're watching this video, and you have an 800 credit score and you don't have a dent on your credit, everything's perfect, it's all sunshine, rainbow, and butterflies, everything's perfect. At the end of the day, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff, okay? But if you're watching this video and you got some credit issues, okay, and you are buying a home, let's say you qualify, but you have collections against you, how are they handled, okay? Collections are handled like this. Now, different loans, conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, handle them specifically different. FHA has a specific guideline on factoring in payments, calculating payments. If it's disputed or not, you downgrade the file, do a manual underwrite, you have to watch installment. So there's guidelines in there. VA, different guideline. Conventional, don't worry about it at all for the most part. So overall, this is what you want to think of for collections, is that if it's a medical debt, if it's a credit card, if it's a repossessed car, okay, none of that stuff, assuming you're not disputing any of it, no matter what type of loan you're going with, 99% of the time, none of that has to be paid off, okay? Now, if you said, Hesh, it's a federal tax lien from the IRS or something like that, if it's a judgment against you, judgments are handled differently, okay? Judgments, you have to show that you have a payment plan in place. You have to show that you've made payments on the plan. You physically need the plan in writing. Is that a collection? It is, but it's a judgment. It's court. It's filed in court. It's against you. Your regular collection from Verizon, T-Mobile, the old apartment building you lived at, all of those types of collections, I don't want to say can be ignored, because for all loan types, or specifically you go VA, FHA, USDA, the government loans at least, okay? You have to factor in a payment for those, even though you're not making a payment on them, depending on the dollar figure and the amounts. The big message here in this video is collections are not required to be paid. I've had a lot of people say, what about when the underwriter, who is the underwriter? An underwriter works for the lending company and they're the ones who decide whether or not you get the loan. Now, if an underwriter says, I want that collection paid off, the question to ask is does it have to be paid off to meet a specific guideline, or is it simply the underwriter doesn't want to see that collection outstanding? I will tell you this one. Be real careful with paying off negative items on your credit if you are in the process of getting a loan. A lot of times when you update negative items that they are paid off, such as a collection, when you update that, it could, and I've seen it, drop your credit score. It could lower your score. I will tell you, halfway through a loan, I'm not looking to re-pull your credit on a government loan, FHA, VA, USDA. We're not looking to re-pull you, okay? But you generally still want to stay away from that. Don't start wiping out all of your negative items and updating all of your credit and getting that cleaned up the day before you go to apply for a loan, okay? Collections, 9 times out of 10, do not have to be paid off. A lot of times they do have to be accounted for. That means we have to look at the collection to see if we have to factor in a monthly payment or not. So there is some of that. If they're disputed, there's some different guidelines for that. But keep this in mind overall. Overall, collections do not have to get paid. Pay attention to them. Be aware that they're there. Be ready to pay them off, possibly negotiate them down or something like that. When it comes to buying a home, 9 times out of 10, they do not have to be paid, and that is your guideline for right now. Make sure you're subscribing to my page. Post your questions if you have them. I'll catch you on the next video.